Hello and welcome to In Conversation back again with another quarantine interview on Zoom. My name is Colin McDonald, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host up in Cavan, Gavin Kelly.
Colin, how are we doing? I'm about to drop a sick drop right now on this new microphone that I need to stand for. But
yeah, you have your new microphone that you're gonna hold like a prick for the duration.
Yeah, stand incoming. We're at low budget here in the ICW.
And today we are welcoming on, unfortunately, a man from Kilkenny. I say that as a Waterford man, and Gavin as a descendant of a Tipperary fella. But we'll plow on anyways. Welshy, or Ross Welsh from Kilkenny. How are you, Ross?
How are you, lads? Great to be on. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. It was a while in the making. I think I contacted you back probably the back end of 2019, but we just couldn't get dates worked out. But thankfully, through the medium of Zoom, we're able to get this done now.
No hiding now, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely no hiding. Right, so the first question I want to ask you, Ross. So now it might get lost in translation here. So if I was to see your name now as a man from the south of Ireland, particularly Waterford, I would say Ross Welsh, right? Now the rest of the country might say Ross Walsh. Now I noticed your DJ name is Welshy, obviously, but it's Welshy, whereas your actual name is Walsh. So was that a conscious decision?
Yes and no. I don't really know. I'm just going to go back to when I was really young, playing hurling. It would have been Ross Welsh or Welsh Festival or Welsh, and Welshy to me sounded a lot cooler than Walshy, and it was that easy. Like there's no sights behind it at all.
Yeah, yeah, maybe I'm just overthinking it. I was thinking like maybe like for people that like would see if you did have it as an A instead of an E, they'd be calling you Walshy instead of Welshy, and that's just It just makes it easier for people that might not pronounce it the right way, as I would see it anyways. Yeah, but sure, for anybody who doesn't know, Ross here is a fabulous DJ, probably one of the most well known in Ireland at the moment. But where did it all start for you, Ross? What was the inspiration behind it?
I guess the inspiration behind it all would have been, ever since I was a young lad, I always wanted to, I guess, be a DJ ever since I was very young. So I'm even going to go back as far as 6th class. I always just had that interest in it. And it's just something I always wanted to do. I don't know where it kind of stemmed from. It could be from my father playing dance music or clubland CDs or anything like that. I don't really know the very beginning. But I do remember the first kind of taste of DJing would have been, I'd say, first year in probably secondary school. I would have bought my first decks. I think I bought them off Dundee for €30. That kind of a job.
Wow.
So that was what really got me into it. Bought the decks, started mixing tunes. That was grand. Then maybe the following year I might have bought 2 speakers. That was grand. Then the following year I could have bought a load of lights. So I probably put most of my money into it. And then coming into about 3rd year, I was thinking to myself, jeez, I'm at this 3 years now. I'm not getting any gigs. What the hell is going on? Thinking it's just going to fall in front of me. And I was very lucky now that I kind of fell on this, that I looked up basically just by chance that if you want to get gigs, now this is to a huge level, this is all the biggest DJs in the world, like all this Tiesto and whatever. The reason they're getting all the gigs, well, this is what I researched when I was younger, like that the reason they were getting the gigs was that they were actually making the music, and that they actually weren't just DJs, they were actually music producers. So quickly then went onto YouTube, looked up how the heck do I make a song, and went from there really.
Right.
That's
and
really
Ross,
the beginning of it all.
Ross, when you're in school, you know, most people your age, while you're mixing tracks and making tunes, they're on BlackBerry Messenger back in the day. So what was kind of the reaction of your schoolmates back then when you're making tunes?
Not really, because I didn't really put it out and didn't tell many people at all. I just put it up on YouTube and kind of kept my head down a small bit in the early days. Their first reaction to anything was, I'd say this is in 5th or 6th year, I thought it'd be funny if I remixed the poem Gavin by Kathleen Maud with the CD. and I remixed that. And what happened actually was, it's actually a very funny story. This one was, our Irish teacher came in the next day, and she actually said, "Cheers, lad, you have to see this deadly video I'm after seeing online." And I was in the class as well, like at this point. And at the time, I actually put that video up on my personal Facebook page, thinking this is obviously not going to go viral. This might just be a funny thing between me and the lads. Put up that night and went into school next morning, and the teacher had my Facebook profile with the most stupid things on it up on the screen for all the class to see. Like, it was that kind of thing. Like, that was the first kind of, I guess, what's the word I'm trying to think of? I don't know what I'm trying to think of. That's my first, no, exactly, with it all, yeah.
And by popular demand, you also did Cult Scarrow as well. For anybody who did sit the leaving cert when them, I don't know if they're still on the curriculum now, but they were when we were doing it as well. You did a two tracks.
That was me. I seen the first one did well, and I tried to double up on it.
Yeah, it's very. I can't think of many more niche songs that you could make now in an Irish sense than covering Kathleen Maud's Gavin, or I don't know who did Cult Scarrow. I'm after forgetting that one, but yeah, no, obviously that kicked it off then, and then from there that obviously went viral. So did you see an uptake in interest or gigs then after that?
Not really, no. So I just seen all I seen really was just a few likes on Facebook, and I just thought, Jesus, if it was that easy to pick a niche like that for the Irish poem that went that viral, maybe should I start thinking about niches to try and remix? So then the next big thing, and it probably still is the biggest thing ever done, was in 6th year I remixed the fucking Black and Tans, and it went fucking colossal.
I have to say this now. Like, I mean, I went to my fair share of 18th, but like while I was in school, and you could not go to an 18th without hearing this remix come on. And when it did, the entire place was on its feet. There was no escaping it. It was brilliant.
Yeah. An absolute staple of Cavan, oh God, what was the name of it? Bonkers with a Z. This wee warehouse in the middle of Cavan town. You'd have this tune playing. Yeah, I like when I think of those nights out, I always think of that song playing and us just going mad. Well, you have lots of other remixes and tunes as well. You have a new single out, Sunshine Day. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
So that song actually was a long time in the making. That song is nearly, I'm going to say, a year and a half old. I actually played that for the first time at Lecture Picnic in 2018. And it was just all about timing with that song. We're trying our best to kind of think of the best time. When can we bring out a feel-good song? And we had a schedule for summer of this year. And sure, of course, the pandemic came. And so it's a different song with the pandemic. But it kind of did make sense in a way to put it out at that time, because the lyrics are, everybody do what you're doing, a smile will bring a sunshine day. So in other words, if you keep doing what you're doing, keep following all the government and HSE guidelines, better days are to come. So that kind of it did have a positive message behind it all.
I did notice, Ross, you only have 4 tracks on the Spotify at the moment. There's obviously a few more on the SoundCloud and the YouTube. Is that a rights thing with some of the remixes that you're doing, or?
Completely, yeah. So the things on YouTube and Spotify, or YouTube and SoundCloud, sorry, they would all just be unofficial, say, remixes and bootlegs that I'd actually have no rights to at all. And it's just by sure luck and chance that I managed to wiggle them through and get them onto the platform itself. So there'll be a lot of music coming very soon for Spotify. No doubt about that.
Very good, very good. And one thing I wanted to talk to you about as well. So we're obviously going through the social media accounts and stuff, and you have a good old following now on the Facebook anyways, and the Instagram. Now, Twitter is something that you don't have a massive following on, if I can say. Is it not something that you would kind of use, or it wouldn't be your go-to platform?
Just wouldn't really. I don't really know. I never really got into it. I wouldn't be the kind of person to go on ranting on. I just kind of pull up my socks and kind of get on with it. So it's not really a platform that suits me. I just like Twitter just for the real reason I use Twitter is for hurling matches, just to know the score and stuff when I'm on the road. Like.
And one big thing you found success on is TikTok, like many. How have you been finding that platform? Do you find it's more effective than the other 3 I mentioned?
TikTok at the minute, like I'm doing a lot of research on TikTok. If you can do TikTok right, it's defining the whole music industry at the minute, I think. I was lucky now to get on it last year and build a bit of a following since then, but it's fierce hard to kind of find a niche, and I won't stoop to the level of doing the dances. That's not me.
Ross, in terms of hurling, we mentioned it before we started the interview here. You're a big Kilkenny man, and of course you're saying you were playing there when you were younger. What's your history? Any youth medals? Any classic games you can tell us about?
I guess my history, short and brief, really. I'm still hurling at the minute, but went to school in CBS Kilkenny. Now I do have a Leinster and All-Ireland medal in my back pocket, so I'll take that under 16. Yeah, I'll always claim that. That's probably my highest accolade for hurling, and then nothing really then after that. I would have played underage with Freshford and currently playing junior with Castle, so not many silver, or not much silver, sorry. But
obviously,
still enjoying it still.
Obviously, like you're of a similar enough age to us, so like you've growing up, you had the enjoyment of Kilkenny's dominance. Is there any games that you went to, or any particular moments that stand out for you?
I think the biggest standout point for me probably was a loss. It was in Hill 16. I don't know, I can't even remember what year it was, but it was the try for 5 that we lost. And it was just like Kilkenny.
Yeah.
Kilkenny Ireland's crumbling from here. It's on the rise again, but that was a tough loss. We thought we had it, and we thought Lark Harbour is right. Yeah.
Lark Harbour haunting your nightmares. Yeah.
Ross, just in terms of lockdown and quarantine, you mentioned it there earlier. How's your experience been? It's been kind of the same for everyone, and then a bit different for everyone. I suppose you've been able to work a bit more on your stuff, but just in terms of maybe things you used to do before the lockdown, how's that been?
So lockdown for me, it's been obviously horrible in the sense that I can't go around geeking and all, because that's what I love to do. But it's been great in a sense where I actually can make more music and plan a lot more and that kind of thing, and see all the family and all that kind of crack. See the lads, well, not really the lads anymore, but I can kind of just be around people more. But I'm still in college as well, so I'm still on co-op. So I'm doing my co-op from home, so that's keeping me busy at the moment. So music and co-op for college.
And it must have been a big blow for you, because like obviously as a DJ, I'd say summer would be a busy time anyways, but particularly your kind of style of DJing does lend itself to that kind of lovely outdoor sunny afternoon at a like second or third evening of a festival. So like it must be tough, considering that would be like probably a large source of income for you as well.
It's tough, but at the end of the day, like, people's lives are more important than any sort of income you can get. I'd rather see people do well and people are happy and healthy than me with a big fat pocket. Like I wouldn't have that kind of head in me at all. But the thing is, like, what's getting me through it is I know for a fact, like, once this is all over, Ireland will go into party mode for about a month, and I'll be very happy. I say then, please God, anyway.
Yeah. And obviously there'll be no kind of festivals really this summer, but going back to previous festivals, what have been some of your highlights, or even some favorite venues, both here at home and internationally?
So festival wise, EP probably would have been the best one I've done. I got to play the Logic Tent 2018. That was a powerful moment. That was very, very good. I was there myself. It was just breathtaking. Very, very fun. Yeah. I really enjoyed that. Venue wise, Jesus, I don't really know. Like, I can't really pick my favorite Irish venue because I don't really have one. It's just everywhere you go is different and there's a different vibe. But I will have my favorite Irish gig, I'd say, to date was I finally got to play a hometown gig in Langton's at Christmas time, and that was just magical, just to see all the lads I grew up with. You can even see teachers in the crowd, you've seen everyone. It's just, Jesus, brilliant.
Fantastic. A topic of discussion that has come up on our show before, Ross, is just the Irish nightlife in general, and particularly the up and coming dance music scene. Obviously, we don't have kind of the opening hours to compare to some of the top international cities in the world. When you think you like your Berlin or something, where you wouldn't get out of a club until 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. How have you, as a DJ, because you've been at this now for a number of years, how have you kind of seen the nightlife kind of change, or has it changed at all, and does it need change?
Jesus, that's a tricky question actually for me. Like, I'd have to think about that one properly to give you a proper answer. But in short,
like we've just had a discussion with another guy who runs his own DJ collective up in Dublin, and he said basically that like it isn't good enough, and more needs to be done to kind of allow for,
I agree, yeah,
the scene to kind of grow, particularly the dance music scene. It is growing, and it's great to see, but maybe not at the rate that it should be.
Oh yeah, I completely agree with that 100%. That would be a massive problem. That look, it is stunting the growth for the industry in that sense. But it's a tricky one, because I know, like, I probably will, a lot of people might get tickets, but I can see as well from a health and safety point of view why it's closed early. But then on what I just said as well, Jesus, that's such a tricky question, like, to answer. I honestly don't know. Obviously, I'd like to see that go on longer, but will that happen in Ireland? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a sticking point. It's kind of hard to know what will happen, because I feel like, the nightlife in Ireland, you go to Dublin and, everything closes at the same time, but there is this kind of after nightlife as well that kind of occurs. So some people are saying, if you have people in there for longer, there's going to be less of that. But at the same time, there's pros and cons to every situation, I suppose. Ross, just in terms of the future, you're only 22, is it? 23?
Yeah, 22, yeah.
I think you're our youngest guest here.
Oh, Jesus.
So it's an honor. Just for the future, do you have are you a goal-setting person, or you just kind of look at the present moment? I know the present moment is pretty grim at the moment, but do you ever look ahead and see what you want to do in maybe 5 years' time, or a year's time, or a couple of months?
I think the biggest goal at the minute actually is the music goal, is just to stick out to college and actually get my degree next year. So that's the first goal I have. And then after that, the next goal will be to properly give the music a go for 2 or 3 years and see how that goes, and then really see where it takes me. I don't really have a goal that I want to be the best DJ in the world or anything like that, because chances of that are diddly squat. But I just want to kind of do the best I can and stay going and see what happens.
Fair enough. And then just in terms of what you're listening to at the moment, some of your favorite artists, inspirations.
So I'm listening to a lot of I've listened to a lot of Dermot Kennedy. I was listening to what else? I was listening to Gavin J. I'm listening to a lot of like indie kind of music. I'm not listening to much dance music at the moment at all. It's just, if I start listening to dance music, I'll just want to go out, and I know I can't go out.
I suppose, like, if you look at your history of remixes, obviously you've gone the pop route a couple of times, but like you like to mix it up a lot of the time. I mean, you have Sinead O'Connor and the Chieftains in there, obviously come out you black and tans. So like, it doesn't seem like you're kind of stuck to one genre at all when it comes to
no, not at all.
Your producing.
When it comes to producing, I just want to make what I want to make. I just want to express myself, how I'm feeling, without sounding like a complete hippie, how I'm feeling on the day, and just throw it out on a song, and that's it. Like, I'm not trying to please a certain crowd or a certain person. I just want to make what I want to make, and it's just a bonus that people enjoy what I make too.
And speaking of that, you have worked with some great artists, the likes of Kygo and Chainsmokers. So is there any artists out there now, like if I was to give you a wish list now of artists that you'd like to work with, who would be on there?
So artists I'd like to work with at the minute, yeah.
Dermot Kennedy.
Be a massive list, yeah. You'd be rolling a big scroll down. One on that list would be, obviously it can't happen, but I would have been a huge Avicii fan, so that would have been number one. But now would probably be someone like Calvin Harris. I'd say Calvin Harris has made everything and anything, and he's just been the best at it. So I think he'd be the number one. And then if you're going a more kind of indie route or more poppy kind of route, probably will be Dermot Kennedy. I'd say he's mega.
Yeah. He's
Calvin
a sound
Harris
lad as well.
is.
So
No, go on, Colin.
I was just going to say he's a sound lad, so it could well happen. Like I wouldn't be too surprised if in a few months' time or a year's time we see Dermot Kennedy Welshy remake or featuring Welshy or whatever.
I don't know. Well, Dermot, how are you fixed?
Yeah, it's Calvin Harris as well. I don't know if you listen to like his new Love Regenerator stuff, but like,
that's cool. Yeah,
it is unbelievable. It's so good. Like he's just always constantly reinventing himself. Like I remember back in the day, it was like Summer and all those kind of tunes. And now this new stuff is just it's a lot heavier, but it's a lot. You can still groove to it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I wouldn't be huge into that kind of music now at all personally, but what Calvin Harris kind of done to that music, that's very cool. Really, really, really cool. That Love Regenerator thing. It's a very interesting project, and it's cool that he chose to kind of go under an alias, but still let it be known that it is Calvin Harris. Because a lot of times DJs just put out a random alias just to see how it goes. But it's cool that Calvin is so confident behind it that it is him. Like,
Absolutely,
so it's really interesting to me.
So I know we talked about the goals, but if we were to have this conversation again now in a year or two's time, or like maybe like a year or two into fully giving the music a go, what would you like to say you've accomplished, or what would you like to say you've gotten done in that time?
After a year of fully giving 100%, I would like to have a song say in the proper charts. I would like. After a full year proper, I just plenty of good songs. I'd say really that's the main thing. Again, what would be the goal for me? I don't know. I'm very undecisive today. I don't know what's for me, but I just say plenty of good music really. Obviously I'd love to have a number one, but it's very hard at the minute when you have the likes of Billie Eilish coming just on the scene, and anything she touches is a number one. So you never know.
Fantastic, Ross. Where'd you get your hair cut? Because like I'm dying for one here. This is grim.
So that was the COVID cut. That was the worst idea of my life. I did that back in March when we first went into lockdown. I just thought, right, I'm going to get rid of the locks and give myself a buzz cut. It's a Gillette razor. It's the worst thing. I'm 22 and I have the hairline of a 44-year-old. If you look down, the worst idea I've ever had. It's just not growing back at all. So I will keep your locks, Gavin.
Yeah, Gav, you don't have that long to wait. Anyways, 18 more days, and the barbers will reopen anyway, so you'll be able to get rid of that.
Thankfully,
nest on top of your head.
Nest, yeah. Because if I had done the COVID cut at the start, like I'd probably be back here. I don't know.
If you had done the COVID cut at the start, your girlfriend would have broken up with you, Gav. So
there you go.
All right, Ross. I think I have no more questions anyways to ask you. Gav, do you have any more for him?
I think we're spent. Yeah. Ross, keep doing what you're doing. You're making great stuff, and look, hopefully you can get to a live gig again soon, because we'll all be waiting for it.
Please God, yeah. Oh, please God, lads.
Right.
Thanks again for having me, and best of luck with everything you're doing. It's brilliant.
Thanks a million. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you in a dirty nightclub or a nice field in the middle of Laois sometime in the near future. This has been In Conversation with Ross Welsh, aka Welshy. Thanks a million for listening, and we'll see you next time.